Jim, did we just give ourselves too big a mountain to climb in that first half?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't start well at all. Conceding as early as we did in the fashion that we did. A really, really poor goal. All 3 goals, when we watched them back, really avoidable. That first one, we need to know there's not danger behind us. We can let that ball through, and unfortunately we turn it into a dangerous area and it's a tap in. The second goal, we just leave ourselves too open to the ball in behind. We get done in the 1v1, it's a decent finish, and then obviously the third one there at the end, it's a free header in the middle of the 6-yard box. So we need to do the basics better in those situations, something that we have done well over the majority of the season, but today we made too many individual errors and we got punished for it. The second half we got a reaction. The substitutes made a difference, Glenn and Christian. Bit of pace in the team, a bit more of an attacking threat. Trapper scores a really good goal and we get ourselves back into the game. But Hibs then make a few changes of their own, freshen things up, and I think the difference on the day was the energy levels of Hibs, the pace that they have in their team, the constant threat that they have on the counter-attack with the players they have in the forward areas. So, I don't think it was down to a lack of fight or a lack of effort from the players. I just think today, unfortunately, we were beaten by the better team.
Yeah, it looked as though there were a few guys dead on their feet in that last 15 minutes or so, whereas Hibs can look to the bench and bring on a guy like Dwight Gale that's made over 100 appearances in the English Premier League to go and kill the game.
Yeah, I mean, look, we know, we know how tight the squad is. I think we've probably got the smallest squad in the Premiership. If not, one of 2, I would imagine. But it's been a really long, gruelling campaign for the group. And they've put a hell of a lot into it, and it is kind of catching up on us now a little bit with the niggles that we have in the group. We're having to ask players to play through the pain barrier, and I think that showed today. A number of guys, not being able to train fully during the week, and I think that showed in terms of the energy levels on the pitch this afternoon. But we can't make excuses. I mean, every team in the country will have similar situations, but yeah, I mean, a club like Hibs with the squad that they've got, of course they can bring on real quality and see the game out. But look, we're all disappointed. Everybody, in the dressing room is really flat after that today, especially with a good travelling support here. Really got behind the team in the second half and drove us on, but unfortunately it just wasn't enough.
Does the impact that our own substitutes managed to make give you a wee bit of food for thought going into that game against St Mirren next week? I mean, look, I thought we'd done really well against Hibs in the 3-5-2 at Tannadice last time out. We wanted that bit of physicality up there to try and retain possession and then try and get us up the pitch. But I just thought in the first half, we actually played some half-decent football in our own half, but we just didn't play forward quickly enough, and that was the message at half-time, to try and play forward that little bit quicker and try and get the opposition turned from time to time. I thought in the first half we broke the press on a few occasions, got to the halfway line and then slowed the game down, allowing Hibs to get 10 men back behind the ball to make it really hard for us to break them down. So that's something that we need to try and continue to encourage and try to introduce into the game. But Christian and Glenn done well. Look, as manager, you put your neck on the line every week with the formation and with the personnel and with the tactics, and when it goes right, then you get the plaudits. When it goes wrong, obviously you expect the criticism to come your way. But I thought the 2 substitutes at half time were excellent. I imagine there's probably a grudging acceptance in the changing room that third's going to be a wee bit of a stretch, but fourth's still well within our grasp, especially with that result in Paisley today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, I think the fact that we're still in the fight for the European places, I think is brilliant. I don't want to keep harping on about it, but I think if we'd have offered the position that we're in now at the beginning of the season, I think we all would have been extremely pleased with that. But what I don't want to happen now is for this season just to peter out. We haven't dropped standards in training. We've continued to try and drive things. The players have been fantastic all season to put us in this position, so I'm not going to stand here and throw anybody under the bus. You know, we're all in it together as a group of staff and a group of players. Of course, we're disappointed with the last 2 results, but we'll stick together, you know, and we'll pick ourselves up and we'll make sure that we're ready for a really, really difficult game next Saturday against St Mirren.